learned the word to say I humbly receive. But how could they prepare us for the hand that came when 1,000 perfect strangers' arms open? Are the smallest fingers of
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and if this is your first time listening, the whole point of this podcast is to ask musicians and those around them to share what they are good at. So this is all about creative people involved in the music industry and what they do so well. It's based on the Quincy Jones quote, "Imagine what a harmonious world it would be if everyone shared a little of what they're good at." So the person sharing what they're good at with me today is Jensen. He's artistic director of Countermeasure, which is a 12-member Toronto-based vocal group. Their new album is called Orchestral Sessions. What you're listening to now is Carry Away, one of the tracks on this album. I'm looking forward to chatting with Aaron, and I hope you enjoy listening in. Welcome to Harmonious World. I'm joined by Aaron Jensen, who is artistic director of Countermeasure. Hello, Aaron.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
The Countermeasure new album is Orchestral Sessions.
That's right.
And it sounds like this is just a new way of you performing some of your favorite songs.
Yeah, all of the pieces except for one are pieces that we have previously recorded and have been part of our touring show for the last several years. Flipping it in a way because we are a vocal group, and so having this backing of this lush orchestra behind us is a spin. It's a nice way to reinterpret the same pieces that we've been enjoying for these past years.
Yes, indeed. And it's the Burlington New Millennium Orchestra.
That's correct.
Where are they? They're obviously based in Burlington, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is that near where you are? Is that part of Toronto? I don't know. My Canadian geography is shocking.
It's shocking. I
Yeah.
would not be shocked. No, I mean my Canadian geography is marginally better, maybe, but Burlington is maybe an hour and a half west of Toronto.
Okay. And did you have a relationship with the orchestra before, or did they how did this relationship come about?
We have been in talks with our collaborator, Charles Cousins, who is the co-orchestrator with myself and is the conductor of the Burlington New Millennium Orchestra. We've been in talks with him for several years. He's seen us in concert and seen us develop and grow as a group, and it's something that we have been discussing for a good period of time. We were actually scheduled to premiere this orchestral suite, this orchestral work in Japan, and then the pandemic hit. That orchestra ended up folding. The venue that housed it ended up folding, and so we were pivoting and looking for other opportunities to share the work, and it actually allows us, even though it seems like an orchestra might be a little bit unwieldy as a touring group, it actually gives us another foothold. It means that when we're traveling, we can pitch this show to local orchestras and put on that production in addition to our vocal only offering.
Right. Which all helps, doesn't it, in terms of, gigging and getting out
Versatility, there. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now tell me, how long has Countermeasure been together?
I believe this is our 14th season. Yes, 13th or 14th season.
Right. And you've got a huge number of recordings, haven't you? Albums that you've done.
Yeah, we are just working on number 5 right now.
Yeah. So that's really good. And how long have you been artistic director?
From the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yep. One of the co-founders, my wife and myself, and the general manager of the group and his wife, we all started this, and essentially it started in a very grassroots homespun way where there was 2 different singing groups based out of universities in Toronto who many of whom, sorry, almost the entirety of the original group sang as part of a university group and just wanted to keep the fun going, essentially. And so when we started this off, this wasn't a commercial enterprise. This was just an opportunity to keep making music with the people that we loved. And over the years, we've been really fortunate to have opportunities to collaborate with some really exceptional players and to travel around the world. And we've just been delighted at these opportunities that have presented themselves.
Right. And talking about the traveling around the world, I started this podcast with a little clip from Carry Away, which is described as your love song to Japan.
That's right. The we are planning on going back to Japan for the third time this coming spring, and that song documents our first experience there and the people that we met and just the open arms and the generosity that we met on that first tour. It was a really overwhelming and bonding experience for the group.
Oh, that sounds lovely. So at this point in the podcast, I would like to play a bit of Hold On. That's a really lovely song. Did you write, who wrote the lyrics for that?
I write the lyrics. I've written the music and the lyrics for all of the pieces, but the everything, it's interesting that um, nothing that I compose for the group is written in a vacuum. I'm now not only writing for the voices of the singers of Countermeasure, I'm also writing songs that are inspired by shared experiences and conversations that I've had with members of the group. And so the lyrics of this song were heavily influenced by a conversation that I had with Quinn, talking about the trials and tribulations and the excitement and the fear that comes with having a child. And since that song was written, Quinn has had one more child and is now pregnant with twins.
Oh wow, goodness
So
me.
she needs to hear the song more than ever now. And I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. There's the Countermeasure family is expanding.
I bet it is. Oh, that's fantastic. And her Quinn's voice is stunning, isn't it?
Beautiful. Yeah, such a beautiful instrument.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I set my mind to a letter and set it backward in time. So when I'm young, I'll know better. Some days I find, oh my, the road is long, and I lose my mind for a place to hide. Hold on to your pride. The fire inside you's got the will to go brighter. Hold on to your heart. Remember the part that puts the life in the light. I got my mind on my daughter, for seeing forward in time. Will she hold all that we taught her, or will she find?
At the end of this podcast, I would like to play Train the B Take.
Mhm.
Is that a take on Take the A Train?
It is in a very roundabout way. And so I can tell you that Countermeasure, I want to say 6 years ago, we participated in Sing the Toronto Vocal Arts Festival, which is an international vocal festival based out of Toronto. And back then I was the artistic director of that festival, and one of the offerings that we put on was we partnered with the National Film Board, and I brought in half a dozen different vocal groups from a variety of backgrounds and styles, and each of these groups performed the soundtrack, created some soundscape that supported a short film of the Canadian or the National Film Board of Canada. And we found this delightful frenetic animated short about this train that goes off the rails and is this allegory for, I mean, the gap between rich and poor and all of these beautiful, it was a hilarious, excellent short. And I took train the B, take the A train, and I chopped it up into pieces and reorganized it, and then took those pieces and scored it underneath the film so it emulated the sound of a huffing and chugging train. And so um, I like to work with constraints. This had a lot of constraints because second by second, frame by frame, the music needed to match the picture. And so that was the jumping off point.
Right. Okay, that's really good. Now, one of the other things that I'm interested in from orchestral sessions is that you've got a rhythm section,
Yes,
which includes Larnell Lewis from Snarky Puppy.
that's right.
And one of the things why that's interesting is because a couple of episodes ago, I interviewed Bill Lawrence from Snarky Puppy.
Great.
So, yeah, they get everywhere, I think, those Snarky Puppies.
Those snarky puppies. Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's an incredible rhythm section that you've got, which is, it's got Jeremy Ledbetter from he played with Andy Nunnell and lots of other people, and George Collar, who is an incredible bass player.
That's right.
So it's a very interesting, the instrumentation is very interesting because obviously you've got the 12 vocalists, then you've got the orchestra, and then you've got this rhythm section that all kind of piece together.
Yeah, I like to think of it almost like if you can think of it like a floral arrangement where you've got like at any point there is the main, uh, there are times where the singers act as the primary point of focus, and then the orchestra sort of supports behind. There's other pieces where the rhythm section are the absolute drivers, and um, or where the orchestra takes a front seat. And so it's been really interesting to see how the orchestra can effectively become a member of the choir, or how the choir can become a member of the orchestra, and how that relationship can change from piece to piece.
Yeah, fantastic. What was your lockdown like? I don't know what lockdown was like in Toronto in Toronto, but my first guest was Lila Bialy, who is
Oh,
also
yeah.
Canadian.
Hmm.
So I kind of feel very close to the musical talent that is in Canada. But what was your lockdown like?
Well, for me personally, it what my wife was pregnant at the time, and so there was a lot going on as an artist. Everything shut down. I mean, obviously
Sure.
all our tours were canceled, all the recording sessions were canceled, and so it required a bit of a pivot. And I'm really grateful to have had this orchestral sessions project. A good amount of my time in the pandemic was spent developing these orchestral charts, and it kept me busy and kept me looking ahead to the future. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was actually, to build upon that, the first time that we got together as a group to perform was with the orchestra behind us. So there was this, we are all such a tight-knit community, and we have supported each other through ups and downs in our personal lives over the last 13, 14 years. And so it was already a very emotional time for us to come together and for us to sing together, and then for that to be augmented by this orchestra behind us was quite the thing.
Yeah. So what's next
What's next
for
is,
Countermeasure?
yeah, so the album that preceded Orchestral Sessions is kind of the inverse side, when it comes to collaborations, in that uh, the album was called Guest Sessions, and it's 10 original pieces for voice plus single solo guest instrumentalists. And so on the last one, we had artists like Evelyn Glennie and Randy Brecker and Cindy Cashdollar and Amelia Stickney and all kinds of wonderful players from around the world. We're doing a volume two, and so it's 10 more songs with 10 different instrumentalists. And actually, you mentioned Larnell Lewis from Snarky Puppy. He's one of our solo guest instrumentalists for one of these new pieces. And so it represents not only a return to the sort of the concept album of guest sessions, but it also is going to signal a new chapter in our touring show, because there's this whole body of new work that's being developed that's going to be created. I estimate that the album will be out by mid to late November.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. And as you say, it just gives you a whole new repertoire, and you can do stuff with it with an orchestra again, or you can do with anybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
When are you coming to the UK?
Oh boy, we want to come back really badly. We had such a lovely time. We did the Edinburgh Festival Fringe maybe 6 years ago, and we tacked on. We performed at the London A Cappella Festival, which is hosted by the Swingle Singers in London, and that was a beautiful time. And continued on through the UK en route to Edinburgh. So that is an experience that the group would love to recreate. So
right, yeah. Excellent. Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you over here sometime soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So, as we discussed, this is Train the Bee Take from Countermeasure's Orchestral Sessions album. And I hope you enjoyed listening to my conversation. You can now send fan mail from the show notes. You can follow the show notes through to all sorts of links. So please feel free to do that, and send me a text and let me know what you think of the podcast. And thanks for joining me once more. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.